Hey everybody, I'm Andy.
And I'm Sean.
And this is the Commander's Brew.
This week, the Scarab God.
Hello everyone, welcome back to episode 102 of the Commander's Brew. Hey, that rhymed.
Yeah, every 10 episodes except for 12 on the 12s.
Yeah, so the next one we have is not going to do that.
No, so that rhyme won't happen again for 20 episodes.
So get used to it. So live in it right now, live in the moment, let it wash over you and really appreciate the rhyme. What's up, everyone? How's everybody doing? How are you doing, Sean?
I hope I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm good. I'm stuffed
you sound
up.
Like you have
I got
cold.
allergies. Yeah, my allergies are acting up.
'Tis allergy season.
Yeah, tis for sure.
Oh, hello everybody. This may be the last ad you hear from me about Darren's Engraving Store on MacLeod. The old engraving store is coming in on hard times because, well, you know our slogan, get any message you want eternalized on something. Well, people don't like the idea of eternalizing lately, as I'm sure you can imagine, and we just sank most of our money into flyers and t-shirts and mouse pads, and we engraved a bench on a park. Costs a lot of money to put something on a bench, even if you're an engraving store, because you gotta buy the rights for it. Nonetheless, I mean, cost aside, that bench is straight up destroyed, so we don't even have anything to show for it, but we can't put eternalized on things because nobody likes the fact that it also means turn into a huge zombie to destroy everything. So we're going out of business, but I want to use this last airtime that we've pre-purchased to talk about another local business that's doing great. That's the Wizard's Tower, wizardtower.com. It's a great place to buy your magic singles. And you know they can give you free shipping if you order $15 in singles or more in Canada, $10 or more in the US. What a great deal. And I'm going to recommend you use coupon code Tower of Brews. Don't bother using a coupon code at my engraving shop because I had to close the website. No more hosting. So that's that. And you'll also get 3% kickback on your next order, both at my engraving shop and at the Wizard's Tower, just in case you want to engrave something. Anyway, real sad time for mail, real sad time for MacLeod. Great time to play Magic, though. Great time for Magic singles. Okay, now back to whatever we've preempted for this ad. I don't even care anymore.
Well, I'm sure you don't tune in for just rhyming things.
You might.
And that's all right.
And that's fine.
Keep it tight.
Okay.
Listen at night. But we are gonna brew a deck for you, right? We always brew a deck. It's gonna be $50 or less. And every card's gonna be under $5 unless it's gotta be in there for a reason. One of the exceptions that we do is when a new set is released, as is right now. We're in spoilers, Hour of Devastation. We're gonna brew off of one of the commanders there, so we're gonna break our rule because we don't care what it pre-sells for. If it's over budget, that's fine because it's all about pre-release. Maybe you're gonna open it. Maybe you're gonna just build a deck with it. That's okay.
Yeah, exactly. So if you go to your pre-release, you crack open a Scarab God, or a Locust God, or what's the other one? Scorpion? Jeru. Jeru. Or, one of those. Yeah, who cares about budget for that, for this one? Because if you have it, you want to build around it, right? So
yes, absolutely.
We'll put a deck together around that is around $50 as well. So,
yeah.
Not bad.
Not bad. Maybe you're tuning in because you want to know about a big giveaway coming up soon.
Ooh, that's right. July 9th, everyone.
Yeah, that's a Sunday, right? I think that's a Sunday. It's a Sunday?
Yeah, it is. Sunday, July 9th. Huge giveaway on our Twitch stream, right?
Yeah, on Twitch. So you're going to have to go to twitch.tv/commandersbrew. And the time we said would be... Hang on, my calendar app.
Same as Brew and Brawl, right? So
Yeah, so 3
p.m. Eastern time, noon Pacific.
Yeah, so tune in then. We're going to hang out. We're going to have some laughs, but we're going to do some big giveaways. This is to commemorate all of our awesome patrons. So we're going to have a number of patron exclusive giveaways then, but we don't want to leave everyone in the dark. We'll have giveaways for everyone who shows up in the chat room as well. Not for everyone who shows up. We'll have giveaways for the people who are, you know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can't promise
everyone will be
everybody.
eligible for something.
Yeah.
Sean's really taking himself into a hole here.
Yeah.
No, okay, not for every single person, but there will be giveaways for everyone. But not everyone, like in that sense. There's going to be... everyone will be eligible for giveaways, and then patrons will have their own also eligibility.
Right.
But we got some big stuff, though. Some
Big
good
stuff.
Right?
Big and good stuff.
we got a Plane Chase anthology. We're planning on cracking the Commander anthology up into decks and giving those away.
Yep.
We've got some other stuff that we've got to give back to you, the listeners. So yeah, that should be a good time. So come on in. Historically, like the odds on these giveaways have been really good. So if you come on in, you have a decent chance of getting something.
Yeah, I like those odds.
Yeah. Okay, so here's the thing. So the opening segment of the show, we usually like to do something a little silly. We've been doing Burns for a while, then we stopped for a bit. We're thinking of playing games, but that game doesn't really work unless you have like a guest on the show. So we're gonna quickly head back into a Burn realm.
Burntown,
right?
Let's go to Commander's Burn. So right, this is we love seeing the burns everyone sends in. It's hard to participate along to some games, but this is a great one for it. So the next candidate for the Commander's Burn, use hashtag Commander's Burn on Twitter, is tomorrow Azami's Familiar. 5 and a blue. Legendary creature, spirit. 1/5. If you would draw a card, look at the top 3 cards of your library instead. Put one of those cards into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. Now this could be a challenging burn, I think, for some, because I have run this in a deck or two before.
Mm-hmm, me too.
So this is maybe the least bad card we've roasted, maybe?
There's plenty of room here for a roast. I mean, a weird 1/5 frog-looking thing with like a face for an eye. That's weird.
That's true. Yeah, I haven't looked too closely because I don't want to spoil it for myself yet.
Yeah,
but
an effect that like definitely takes too long. If you ever have to do it more than once, especially. So yeah, I think that tomorrow there's some room here for Azami's Familiar to take a few burns.
Man. Yeah, so please use that hashtag and get on that quick if you don't mind, because we're going to have to do a couple of episodes. We're going to try to record a couple early, put them in the bank for future, because we won't be able to meet and record on our usual day all the time. So we're going to have to record in a little bit in advance, so we won't be able to see all the tweets if they're just a day before the next episode. You know what I mean?
Yeah, summertime's happening.
Summertime is in full effect.
Yeah, it really is. Right now, I feel like I'm outside because I have, like, right here, you can't see it if you're watching the YouTube, right to my left is a window, and it's open, and the breeze is blowing in, and it's like a nice, Seals and Crofts summer breeze. It's really nice.
Sometimes you can see Andy's flowing locks.
That's
just
true.
Moving ever so slightly.
Yeah, it's true. Once in a while, a little bit of a breeze comes in here. Okay. So here's something I'm springing on you. You didn't know I was going to do this, but so one of the things people mentioned that they wanted to kind of hear from us a little bit more is some games, like what have we been playing? What decks have we been playing lately? So
sure.
Did you? I didn't get to Magic Night last week.
Yes, I did.
You did. So let's hear a bit about what happened. What did you play there?
It was a big game between, it was myself, it was Butler and Rob. I was running. What was I running? Is it weird that I don't remember what I was running the most?
That feels weird.
Rob was running a deck that he themed around it is meant to be a cult deck with like a cult leader and a bunch of humans that have normal human jobs that get sacrificed and benefits from that. And Butler was running his it's helmed. Is it Yesova? It's the deck. No, it's not Yesova. It's Sidisi, but the whole point of it is taking your stuff. Right?
It's Villainous Wealth, right? Yeah.
Villainous Wealth is kind of like in there, but the main part of the deck is to take everything that you have.
Yeah.
What was I running? I just remember that this game went on for a long time because we were just like taking stuff back and forth and trading. Like Butler was stuck on mana, and then just when he got rolling, we would go. One of the highlights for me, I still don't remember. Oh, I remember what I was. I was Guafa Hazid, right? And I Thada Adelled over to Butler to steal his Mindslaver.
Oh.
And I Mindslavered his turn, which is usually very exciting. But here, I'll give you a Mindslaver tip.
Okay.
Look at, although I guess I couldn't have known this in advance. Anyway, his mana base, he didn't have a lot of dual lands out. He had a couple of swamps, a couple of islands, a couple of greens, and a couple of like mana rocks. And his whole hand was blue cards. So I really could only do one or two things. Oh. He had National's Altar, so I sacked his whole board, and I had like 20 generic mana sitting in the mana pool, but I could only use a few of it because I could only activate a few spells because they all had double blue in it. Oh, so like, am I going to kick a Rite of Replication on something and then sacrifice everything? Or am I going to... Man, it was tough. It was tough. I left a lot of juicy, juicy spells in his hand.
So who ended up winning that?
In the end, it was Rob. In the end, it was Rob.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was his first big win at Magic Club.
The Heaven's Gate deck.
Yes.
Yeah, Rob's been playing... he has a bunch of decks now that are like themed around things. We really want to. We're talking about having him on and him talking about his police deck, right?
Oh yeah, because they're not themed about like. You might think a police deck would be themed like, oh, here are the police. This is the judge. This is the whatever. But he plays them like they are police. Like when he attacks you, he's not attacking you. He's investigating. Like he's like. Going to ask questions to you, the wizard behind yourself. And like when creatures die, they're murders, and he's has to investigate murders. So he'll attack the guy, and if anyone kills a cop, aka his creatures, he's just like, we got to go all out on this guy, right? Like the police are not kind to cop killers. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's a very fun take on a theme deck. It's really interesting to me. We really ought to get him on and just talk about that. It's another way to look at themes, not just in how you build, but how you play.
Yeah, how you play them. I like that a lot. I think like it's almost like getting into character.
Yes, very much
right?
so. Very much so.
That seems very interesting to me.
It's so fun to play against.
Yeah, and it's great. So anyway, so that's cool. Like I haven't had a chance to play much this last week, so I just started like some new jobs. So like that, they've been kind of eating up all my time. Although I did play another huge epic experiment in Forge.
Wow.
So but this time I purposefully faced off against a deck I knew would like just drop crazy creatures and just attack me right away. I just played against like a Kalia deck, and which I haven't been able to beat because even though it's just an AI, like it's really fast. But finally, I did manage to just bounce all of her permanents and then just go nuts.
Oh man, love it. I
can't wait. I can't wait to get back to the clear. But although I'm not going to be back to the clear this week either, I got to work again. So.
Oh man.
Burn on me.
Well, burn on all of us.
Oh well, let's get to the show here. What do you think?
Yeah. Okay. Great. So this is an exciting set, right? This is an exciting time. I love pre-release time. I love spoilers. I love new commanders. I love just cracking in and like. Let me tell you, this Scarab God is spicy.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Spicy.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you want to read it?
Yeah. Okay, I'll read it. The Scarab God is 3 blue, black. He's a legendary god. 5/5. Interesting though, this god is not indestructible,
None of them are.
right?
None of the new ones are.
None of the new ones.
They're all exactly the same this way.
Oh, you mean but like the other Amonkhet gods are indestructible, right?
Yes, that's
Yeah.
what I mean. Well, when I say new, I mean like new.
These ones, right.
Yeah, I don't mean Theros versus Amonkhet. I mean
Yeah. New,
these
brand
specific
new.
ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So not indestructible, which is interesting.
Right.
It's a mythic, of course, and it says at the beginning of your upkeep, each opponent loses X life, and you scry X, where X is the number of zombies you control. So like right away,
Spicy.
zombie tribal, huge ability, helping you dig to your good stuff and just crushing your opponents.
Like,
Because each opponent will lose
There's
that
a
much life.
spell that makes 13 zombie tokens.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
like zombies
and it has
are not hard.
flashback.
It has flashback too. Like zombies are not hard to come across. So like this could get so dirty.
Yeah.
Like, oh my god! And you're scrying X. Like if the opponents just lost life alone, fine, that would be amazing. But the fact that you also get to scry X to get whatever you need, because this happens during your upkeep. So then whatever you scry to is what you will draw for your draw step. So like it's so annoying.
And that's not it.
That's not even it.
So you get that sweet ability, and then for 2, a blue and a black, 4 total, exile target creature card from a graveyard. Create a token that's a copy of it, except it's a 4/4 black zombie. And then when the Scarab God dies, return it to its owner's hand at the beginning of the next end step.
That's what replaces the indestructibility.
Yes, that's true. Yeah.
And I read from a flavor perspective, that's a very cool way to implement that, because it's not technically indestructible, but it reflects how these gods disappeared a long time ago.
Yeah.
But they came back. So like you can make the gods disappear if you kill them, right?
Yeah.
But they will come back eventually. Like, I mean, in Commander, everything comes back because Commander tax. But basically,
But
it's
this
going to
is
be hard.
Yeah, this is a commander that doesn't have a commander tax.
Basically, right? Like, unless they have a scavenging ooze or something, and like every time it goes to the graveyard, they're eating it like every time.
Yeah, or they make you discard it or something, right?
Somehow, but like even then,
like
what's that? Is that going to happen once?
Exactly.
Like maybe
right?
you pay one set of tax. Like for sure, like one time you're going to get like Relic of Progenitus out of there.
Yeah.
But like that relic is gone, so like that won't happen next time.
Yep, exactly.
Oh,
it's I feel like that stuff's not going to happen super often.
not super often.
And so in that case, it's just you basically don't have a commander tax. It's just better. It's just better than having one, basically. So
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, this guy's great, right?
So spicy.
You don't need anything to activate him, which is another thing that gods usually have, as we have seen, right? So whether it was the Theros devotion or the in the Amonkhet, you had to have whatever conditions or
some condition.
Sometimes it's creatures or whatever, right? It's cards in your hand, that sort of thing. But this guy just comes down 5 mana, 5/5, with some crazy ability. So looking at this, obviously, zombie tribal is the first thing that springs to mind, right?
For sure, because I want to put the maximum number of zombies to take maximum advantage of that first paragraph.
Yeah. So you want to flood the board with zombies, and then just like your opponents can't last that long, right?
No.
But that's what everyone's gonna do.
Mm-hmm.
So what are we gonna do?
We're gonna go sideways a little bit, I think, and in fact, I think it's better to lean on the second paragraph and have the first paragraph just be incidental. Because whenever you exile a creature card from a graveyard, I just noticed this. It's any graveyard.
Yes, it is.
I was under the impression it was your own graveyard. So I was like, this card is too good. Right. So anyway, there's so many creatures that we're going to get, because it's a copy, except it's a 4/4 black zombie. That will improve a lot of cards.
Right.
And then we'll make sure that the cards we include that is a downgrade for size and type actually gives us some sort of ETB bonus where it's still worth it. And I think because those are zombies too, so like even if you run 0 zombies in the deck proper, you will get zombies and you will encounter that first paragraph. Scry 1 every turn is a very good ability, even if that's all you ever got. But we'll take some drain, we don't gain the life, but each opponent, Andy, each opponent.
Yeah, each opponent. People, the one thing I will say about the Scarab God is it looks like it's going to really paint a serious target on you once you start.
That's another reason I think you don't want to drop 16 zombies off the top, right? I think you want to don't show too many zombies because then you'll just get demolished.
Because it does need to make that turnaround, right? Like it's on your upkeep.
Yes. Yes.
I just thought of this. Did you put or did you consider putting Paradox Haze? Get two upkeeps.
Ooh, I did not.
Cool.
Paradox Haze for sure. I'm putting that on the maybe board.
Okay. Well, let's get into it. Let's what do we have in here? We got a serious commander. Let's see what we're going to be using here.
Okay. Well, I just want to write down Paradox Haze before I forget it because I've been updating the tapped out link with all the maybe cards. People have been giving us some really good tips because sometimes we mention cards that are like out of budget but would be good.
Yeah.
People were like, "Hey man, put those on the list." I'm like, "Yeah. Why not?"
Oh yeah, you know what? That was something. Oh well, I mean, might as well just bring it up right here in the middle of the show. This is something I meant to tell you before. I think we should have a segment of the show where, like 3 stars, like those things, where we have like here's like 3 or so cards that are out of the budget that would be amazing in this. So like. Because, like you said, a lot of people will go like, "Hey, is there like a non-budget version of this available?" It's like,
yeah,
well, the show's more about budget, but like, I'm happy to like give some tips about the ones I might use in real life, like with the Epic Experiment deck. Like, I posted the game from GP Vegas, and people are like, "Oh, you made a non-budget version of it. Can we get that list?" So I did post that list, by the way. If you're listening to this and you haven't seen that. Check our Twitter because I posted a link. It's on our It's on my tapped out. It's not on ours.
Okay.
Anyways, so we should do that. I think
we should do that.
I think that'd be a good thing. I think people would appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. Great.
Okay,
anyway,
great.
So that's that Paradox Haze is going on. I probably could fit it in anyway.
Right. Well, that's not that one's not expensive. Yeah.
Sure. So let's for the first little section here. Let's highlight some cards that are excellent to eternalize, and these are going to be awesome small / medium-sized targets that we are excited to eternalize. And then firstly, great example of what we're thinking about is called Dimir Infiltrator, right? This is a spirit. It's a 1/3 black-blue. Wait a minute. It's small. It's not even a zombie. What's the point of it? Dimir Infiltrator can't be blocked. It also has Transmute, 1 blue-black. So we can discard the card and then look for anything with converted mana cost 3 or more. So we have the option. If we think we're a big target, we can drop Dimir Infiltrator nice and early and get those. What's that?
No, sorry. You said you can transmute it for something that costs 3 or more.
Oh, geez.
No, you can transmute.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Only 3.
No, only 2 because it's a converted mana cost.
Only because it's 2. Okay. Yeah. All right, then.
Anyways.
I have to reanalyze this. Anyways, I don't know how transmute works, but the whole point is you can throw this thing in the graveyard right away if you prefer and find a different 2-drop that you might want because we're going to eternalize it. Or we can just start with a 1/3 as a potential blocker because maybe there's a bunch of heat on us. But either way, once this guy gets in the graveyard, we're going to turn it into a 4/4 can't be blocked creature. That's great.
Yeah.
You don't need lots of those before the game starts ticking down.
I like transmuting this guy early and grabbing whether it's like a counterspell or maybe some kind of like a bit of ramp or something.
Yeah. Like we're favoring creature ramp. Like we're not highlighting them, but for example, like Leaden Mirror and Silver Mirror are in here because we can eternalize them when we don't need them anymore.
Yeah, exactly. So I like doing that. I like that move, and then you get a 4/4 unblockable. That's not bad.
Not bad at all.
Take it. Next, we have Jessian zombies. 4 blue black. It's a creature zombie. It's a 2/4 with fear, and it also has island cycling and swamp cycling each for 2. So this is like a wicked multi-purpose card, as we just kind of pointed out with the Dimir Infiltrator. You can cycle this for the like to fix your mana, which is great. Each of the two costs is colorless, so you'll be able to do that hopefully, and then you get a 4/4 that has, again, basically unblockable. It has fear, so it can't be blocked by except by artifact creatures and or black creatures.
Yeah, there's gonna be like there's probably a player where this reads unblockable towards.
Exactly.
And like it starts as a zombie too. So if by some reason you want to spend 6 mana on a 2/4 with fear, go ahead. That's a zombie for you.
Yeah.
But you're going to eternalize it for 4 and get a 4/4 with fear.
Exactly. Yeah. You're gonna spend 2 to put it in your yard, and then 4. So you're still gonna spend
The
6
other
on it,
4.
but you also get a land out of it, right? So that's great. Yeah, I think this is a really clever and very good addition to this, right? Like you said, like later on in the game, you actually might want to put this out for 6 just to add to the zombies, and then if a board wipe happens or something, great. Now we can make it a bigger, badder zombie. So
Yeah.
I think this is a good inclusion.
And one small non-zombie I want to highlight is Shadow Alley Denizen. It's a single black vampire rogue for a 1/1. Whenever another black creature enters the battlefield under your control, target creature gains Intimidate until end of turn. So, like I said, you can see the writing on the wall here. We're making a lot of black zombies when we eternalize, so every time we activate Scarab God's ability, we can make something basically unblockable. That is to say, if it's already not unblockable. We've highlighted mostly ones that are tough to block, but there are creatures in here that don't come with some sort of default evasion. We're going to throw this around on all of those. And, I mean, in case you haven't put this together, the Scarab God's ability does not tap. So once we get to 8 mana, we can do this twice per turn if we have any creatures left in our graveyard.
Yeah, that's not bad. Does blue and black get haste somehow? Can we give everyone haste?
Can we give everyone haste? I don't know. I didn't make that a focus. I didn't look for that. But if anyone has a creature in their graveyard that gives things haste, like we can take.
Yeah. Look at that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's
It works
true.
on any graveyard.
I guess a Chroma's Memorial is the only way to get, like, not maybe one of the only ways to give everyone haste. Like that's
You'd have to like
not
put
a
a
color.
Lightning Greaves on or something,
Yeah,
or
okay.
a Swiftfoot Boots.
Okay. Okay. What else we had here? Oh, this is great. Huge things that are cheap to reanimate.
Right, we're going to take the opposite spectrum now. So here's some things that are like, once they get into the graveyard, we get a sweet deal.
That's right. And first of those is Sepulchral Primordial. 5 black. It's a 5/4 with Intimidate. It's an avatar. It says when Sepulchral Primordial enters the battlefield for each opponent, you may put up to 1 target creature card from that player's graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. This is just the Primordials are real like Commander All-Stars. Like they're just great. Right? Like they go in a lot of decks. Blue-black loves the Sepulchral Primordial because usually there's some sort of milling involved or, but even if there isn't, Sepulchral Primordial often will hit at least a creature in everyone's graveyard. Even if just from the natural game state, people dying, things going in the graveyard, board wipes, that sort of thing. So like you don't even have to put that much work in to make Sepulchral Primordial great. And then not to, it died, you board wiped. Oh man, guess what? Scarab God gonna get him back for only for 4 this time.
Yeah.
And then you get everything else too. It's like, yeah, man, no problem.
And the things that Sepulchral Primordial grabs don't get exiled.
Right.
So, like, when we eternalize a creature, it is exiled. So we only get 1 eternalize on something, right?
Yeah.
So but the things that we get back from it go back to our opponent's graveyards when they likely board wipe. Then we can Scarab God those directly back onto our side.
Yes, exactly. That's true. Well, considering we basically just discovered that's pretty. That's pretty
this
nice.
Card is spice.
Yeah. Yeah, they really pushed these for Commander, you can tell, right? Like
they didn't just push it though. Like this is like shoved. Like this is like 1-inch punch to like Bruce Lee fly across the room.
Yeah. Hooah! Yeah, this is like you kicked Rick James in the chest and he flew into the mirror behind him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks to
Was
Poker
this card-
Primordial. I think I'm bleeding out of my chest.
Yo, should we push these for Commander? No. What?
That's what they did. That is what they did. You can listen to our review of Devastation. It's going to come out like later this week or next week. And yeah, we'll get in deep about all that stuff and how our feelings on that. Because actually, I have mixed feelings about these gods, but we'll talk about it then.
Cannot wait.
What's next here?
Phyrexian Ingester. 6 and a blue, total of 7 CMC for a beast. That's 3/3. It's got imprint, so that when Phyrexian Ingester enters the battlefield, you may exile target non-token creature. Phyrexian Ingester gets plus X plus Y, where X is the exiled creature's power and Y is its toughness. So we're going to do this once and exile an enemy creature and get a huge Ingester. But when we Scarab God it back, when we eternalize it back, it'll start one bigger plus X plus Y, and we get to exile another non-token creature.
That's true, yeah. And you can do the Scarab God's thing at instant speed, which is nice for this one.
Instant speed.
Right? So you can just quickly exile something at the right time, when you need to for a lowly 4 mana. That's pretty nice. We'll take it.
Yeah.
Cool.
Great. And then let's just keep rolling on more cards that aren't necessarily picked for size, but their ability, right? Here's other cards we want to eternalize that are not necessarily zombies. Again, eternalizing as zombies just makes that first clause a bonus, right? But they're in here because how good it is. So, you take this first one, Andy. Let's imagine how good this is eternalized.
Yeah, okay. This one's cool. Cephalid Constable. It's 1 blue. It's a Cephalid Wizard. It's a 1/1. And it says, whenever Cephalid Constable deals combat damage to a player, return up to that many target permanents that player controls to their owner's hands. So, obviously, this guy's a 1/1 normally. You bounce one thing if you hit. No big deal. But with it being an eternalized 4/4 zombie, that's 4 permanents. And, 4 permanents, that's a lot.
That's a lot.
That's 4 lands. Back to their hand, if you want to be real mean about it, right?
And we probably are going to give it, what is it? Or Intimidate from the Bane Alley, Shadow Alley Denizen, right? So, we have ways of making it unblockable, so there's not much they can do about it.
So, interesting to note and, important to note here, though, Cephalid Constable will only bounce things from the player that it hits, right? So you can't aim at this guy and then bounce this guy's permanents. It's got to be the same person.
Yes.
But yeah, still, it's funny because it doesn't seem like it's that bad, right? But if it hits, it's like mini Annihilator, right? It's like,
oh boy,
Annihilator. It's like Annihilator to your hand.
Yeah.
Which maybe that's the way they should have done Annihilator. Maybe it wouldn't have been so devastating that way.
Maybe.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. That's not bad.
Right. Because if you only have tiny stuff, then you can get it back out every time. Yeah, okay.
No, obviously you have to hit, so it's not like Annihilator in that way. But yeah, right. So but 4 permanents is nothing to sneeze at, as they say.
Yeah, and then we expect to draw some heat, but Cephalid Constable, we can cast it for 3, and just sit behind it. And if no one, if they want to attack us on the ground, we'll happily block with it to put it in the graveyard, but it's also not threatening as a non-zombie because it won't, we can have Scarab God and Cephalid Constable out and no one gets drained for anything and we don't score anything and people are probably okay with that, I think.
Yeah.
Unless they play the deck once and then they're like, no. This is a problem.
Yeah. This guy's going to be bad.
Yeah. So let's talk about Cathari Remnant. Speaking of having some early defense. So Cathari Remnant costs the same as Scarab God's activated ability, 2 black-blue. So the first time we cast the Flying Bird Skeleton, it's a 0/1, but we can pay black to regenerate Cathari Remnant, but it also has Cascade. So that only works the first time we cast it. It does not work on just entering the battlefield, but we'll get something else for free. We have a lot of cheap creatures that are good for blocking and that we want in the graveyard. We're always happy to get a free spell off of something.
Oh, yeah.
But the key is that it regenerates. It's a flying regenerator as a 0/1. So it won't deter a lot of blocking, but it'll soak up a ton of damage until it becomes a 4/4 flying that regenerates for 1 black. That is tough to deal with.
Yeah, that's not nothing, right? Like, there's probably going to be someone that you can get through with that. Some people might have a big enough flyer to just stand in front of it and block it, no problem. But generally speaking, you're gonna at least have one person if you wanna focus in on that you can hit with a big 4/4 flyer.
Sure, and if you're giving these things intimidate, like they have to have black flying creatures, which
Yep.
is like a couple of demons.
Yeah, demons will do that, but yeah, other than that, it's tough. And these 4/4s, they start adding up, right? Like 1 or 2 4/4s might not seem so bad, but once you're swinging in with them, it's like, oh, I just took 8 damage. Oh, I just took 12 damage, right? Like it adds up quicker than I would even like think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. So after this guy, after Cathari Remnant, we've got a Marionette Master. So Marionette Master is 4 and 2 black for a human artificer. Oh, it's a 1/3 with Fabricate 3. So right when this creature enters the battlefield, put 3 1/1 counters on it, or create 3 1/1 colorless servo artifact creature tokens. And whenever an artifact you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, target opponent loses life equal to Marionette Master's power. So the idea with this one, I guess, was like Fabricate 3 or make them lose 3 life. Like put it on her so that way when the artifacts go away, you're losing a chunk of life. But this way we get the best of both worlds. We get to do both. Because once you eternalize Marionette Master, every artifact that dies, so maybe you might have, 3 lying around from last time, and the 3 that she's going to make again. So that's 6. So if those guys die, that's 6 times 4. That's 24 damage.
Not to mention we are running Commander Sphere, so we can just sack that for a card to do another 4 damage if we want.
Yeah. I mean, and you said like you're running those mirror, right, for ramp.
Right.
So if those guys should die, right?
Yep. So like we have a Marionette Master that's been eternalized and a few artifact creatures. Your opponents can't just wipe the board.
Yeah. Yeah, 24 damage. I mean, you'll get to a board state, especially with a couple of 4/4s with evasion kicking around, where that will just kill someone.
Yeah.
Right.
So unless they have an exile spell, then that's why we'll need to have ways to. That's why this is an example why you always need a sack outlet, right?
Yes.
It sucks when everything gets exiled. When you're like, oh man, I could have done 24 damage to you. It's like, well, thanks to this sack outlet, you still can.
Yeah, or like they go to kill this first. Or
right.
Bounce it or something, and you're like, oh, man. But if you had that sack outlet, bang, 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 bang.
Bang, 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 bang.
Those servos are gone, and you just did 24 damage, which is great.
Yeah, great.
Cool. What
okay,
else?
And another one in this category I want to highlight. I could have put this in the surprises and discoveries because I've never really thought about this card before. Abyssal Hunter. 3 and a black for a minion. It's a human assassin. They errated that. It starts as a 1/1. And it has an activated ability, black, tap target creature. Abyssal Hunter deals damage equal to Abyssal Hunter's power to that creature. So basically it's a one-way fight, but also taps target creature, right? So he's a tap. Black has a tapper. Like that's unusual.
That is, yeah.
But not only that, he does damage to that creature. So the tapping ability is useful. Again, we might face a lot of hate. We might need to do this as a defensive mechanism. But once we eternalize this guy, he's striking creatures for 4 at a time. Just like, here, 4 to you. It's like, no.
No.
Not to mention, like, I'm not going to do little spoilers, but we don't have 0 zombie support. So, like, there is a card in here that gives zombies +1/+1. So that makes this guy kill anything with 5 toughness or less for 1 black.
Also, tapping is a pretty underrated ability in Commander. I've noticed that the occasional time I'll have a tapper out, like I'll have like a what are the ones I've noticed? So like a Azorius Guildmage.
Oh yes.
Tuna Blue will counter a has the ability of Tuna Blue counter an activated ability or something, and tune a white to just tap a creature. And I'm always like, well, it's not in there for that. I want to counter the activated abilities, right? But you end up using that tap a lot. Like if someone has an Eldrazi, if someone has some sort of indestructible thing that's big and scary like that, I've used it against Thraxamundar a lot,
Yep.
and it just they just get tapped, and you're just like, I don't even get to do the attack. Like I don't even get to do that trigger on those attacks, right? So
Yeah.
it can be really, really like I remember really frustrating Scott Yamamura with it because he had like just monstrous his like what is it, like Colossus of Akros or whatever.
Oh yeah.
So he had this
yeah.
huge 20/20 trampler, and I was like, tap it, like, tap it,
Tap it.
right? It just
And
takes
that's
care
a
of it.
great. It's an underrated political move too, because if someone's got something with Annihilator 4 on it, they're like, listen, man, I'm planning on tapping this, but if you can make me a guarantee that you won't come at me, I won't tap it.
Yeah. I'll let you get your attacks, and I'll let you do your stuff. Just don't come at me.
And like, I can't stop you. Like, so if I let you move to declare attackers and you do come at me, like that's a free one. Like I can't go back in time and undo that. But you have burnt that bridge.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. You've made a powerful enemy today. So yeah, tapping is a very underrated ability, and it's nice to have, and kind of incidentally you can get it sometimes. So putting a guy like this in Abyssal Hunter, where half the time it'll kill it, half the time maybe it does just tap it, but sometimes that ability is very, very good.
And can I just say, Abyssal Hunter looks like a guy who loves his work. Like he looks so happy.
Yeah, he's very happy. He's very
excited to show up every day and tap creatures and do damage to them. He loves it.
He's got like two weird kind of like bendy swords. Like
they are bent
They
swords.
curved. They look like they're curved. I don't know if that's
Yeah.
just the art or what, but yeah. Abyssal Hunter having a good time at work. So you mentioned zombie spells,
Yes.
and we actually have some, right?
I couldn't resist putting no zombie spells in. Again, that first ability is so powerful that making opponents lose life and scrying, and since we effectively have no commander attacks, we can benefit from it greatly. We don't need to go all out on that to take advantage of it. So I think I want to run Grave Betrayal. 5 black for an enchantment. And whenever a creature you don't control dies, return it to the battlefield under your control with an additional +1/+1 counter on it at the beginning of the next end step. That creature is a black zombie in addition to its other colors and types. So it's just a way to get more zombies. Is this win more? Or is this a finisher? I'm not sure which. I haven't played the deck yet.
This card is super powerful. It's pretty expensive, but once it's out, people just live in fear of it, right? Like
You can't let anything die.
you can't let anything die. You can't like swing in and attack each other. And the thing is like sometimes this card will be out there, and people will sort of hold back certain creatures because they're like, okay, well, we got to get rid of this first. But then eventually people will forget about it, and they're like, okay, I attack you. It's like, okay, good. I block, and now I get that. And they're just like, no. Like, I find that something that, like, if they can't get rid of it right away, it's just going to, like, be a threat, but then eventually it just kind of goes away because it doesn't actually do anything. Like, if they avoid it, if they avoid things dying, it's not doing anything. So it's easy to forget about, I find.
Yeah.
But Grave Betrayal is... I don't think it's win more. I think this is just a wicked fun card, and I don't know. I like to run it in a lot of black decks just because it's really it's you can't play this card anywhere else but Commander, and it's so good in Commander.
Yeah.
Right? Like you got 4 opponents that you get to get stuff from. So yeah, it's awesome.
Especially if you're holding a board wipe, and you're just like, oh, this turn Grave Betrayal, next turn wipe the board.
Oh man, so mean. Yeah, it's very, very good. So and I would have never thought that we'd be talking about Grave Betrayal and then talking about how like that additional text that I usually forget about, that the creature is a black zombie in addition to its other colors and types, is like the most relevant part of it.
The most relevant part, right? Yeah.
You get the like the +++ counter, whatever. Get creatures obviously, but like it's a zombie. Like we care about that. That's really great. Okay. Of course, after Grave Betrayal, We want more zombies, so Ever After is a good one. So Ever After is 4, 2 black for a sorcery. Return up to 2 target creature cards from your graveyard to the battlefield. Each of those creatures is a black zombie in addition to its other colors and types. Put Ever After on the bottom of its owner's library. This is just a great reanimation spell. It's kind of a similar thing. It's like you're not really going to play this anywhere but Commander, and for 6 mana, you get 2 creatures. That's very good. You get a Phyrexian Jester and like I don't know, one of those like a Marionette Master again to make more servos or whatever. So whatever, you're not going to go wrong with this card, and you're going to have a bunch of stuff in your graveyard. So
yeah. The only drawback of the Scarab God is that to eternalize a card, it exiles it.
Yeah.
So you only get that one last shot, and if they bounce it or wipe the board, then it's gone forever. So Ever After is a way to sneak in one extra shot on them, and I think we can justify it because each creature we're getting 3 CMC twice. So as long as we're getting creatures of that size, and that is cheaper than the Scarab God's ability. Granted, most of these creatures are better when eternalized, but this is just a way to just get more good stuff out there that we will continue to just an extra shot out of these.
And this is
okay. This one's interesting. This one's interesting. Okay, this is Noose Graph Mob, 4 black for a zombie 0/0, but it enters the battlefield with 5+1/+1 counters on it. And whenever a player casts a spell, that's any player, remove a +1/+1 counter. If you do, put a 2/2 black zombie creature token onto the battlefield. So we're gonna cast this for 6. We're gonna get a 5/5. But as players cast spells, as it's going around the table, they're creating more zombies. And if they cast 5 spells total, Noose Graph Mob will be a 0/0. We'll go to our graveyard, and we will have the Scarab God on our upkeep have at least 5 zombies, all the tokens from this. That's crazy. Is that going to deter your opponents from casting spells? I hope so. That's what we want. But even if they do, and we eternalize this, it starts as a 4/4 that then puts 5+1/+1 counters on it. So it comes out as a 9/9. It's not going to last long because people are going to cast spells, but it won't disappear when the last one is gone because it'll stay around as a 4/4.
Yeah, I had a chat with, I think his name was Richard at the GP. He showed, I think that was his name. I could be mistaken. If so, I apologize. But we talked about his Mazarek deck, and he showed me Noose Graph Mob and was like, this card is insane in this deck, and this card wins me games. Like he's like, I run this instead of Grave Titan, and it's better.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
Now Mazarek, he puts +1/+1 counters on things, so like it's and the sacrificing and so on. So like makes a lot of sense in that deck for sure. But Noose Graph Mob is I think a pretty underrated card, considering how easy it is to put +1/+1 counters on things. That just ends up being zombies. So if you have anything that pays off zombies, Noose Graph Mob is like a must include. It's crazy good. And in this deck where we can eternalize it, like you were saying, it is kind of like a Grave Titan, right? Like
it's kind of like a Grave Titan.
It's kind of like a better Grave Titan. You get more zombies out of it probably, and at the end you still get this big monster. So at the very least, if you can't put it in a Grave Titan, like Noose Graph Mob is going to do a lot of that work for you. So not bad.
Yeah, not bad at all.
No.
Wow. So, I mean, that's just some of the cards we wanted to highlight. We're still going to do the 3 stars of the deck and the surprises and discoveries. But as far as categories go, that kind of sums up a lot of what it does. I think we may need to put a little bit more defense in here, right? If my calculations are correct, we're probably going to want a few death touchers just to deter combat. Maybe a propaganda that maybe that's good for the maybe board, costs a few bucks, but yeah, that sort of thing. But let's move on to the 3 stars. Here's some cards that I predict will perform very highly in this deck. One I specifically avoided the first time going through the category you might be thinking of is Invisible Stalker. Simple, 1 blue, hexproof, unblockable, 1/1. Eternalize that thing as a 4/4 hexproof unblockable. That's pretty good. I mean, board wipes are maybe more plentiful than targeted removal, but this is a good one to hold back where it's like, okay, we're doing all right. If you have this and maybe one other 4/4, just keep going on this, right? Let people waste their board wipe on this card before you go nuts and start eternalizing more things. I think you got to slow roll this.
Cool. You mean slow roll like the play of this, or
slow roll the deck? Like, don't just get as many zombies as possible and eternalize everything as soon as possible. I think you got to put what you need and then be like, this will, like, Invisible Stalker will put you on a clock. Either wipe the board or die. But if you waste a board wipe on a few of my things, they will be eternalized, but I'm not going to overextend. I think that's one way this deck goes down, is if you overextend and people like Cyclonic Rift, and you're like, well, I've got an empty graveyard and nothing on the board, so GG.
Yep, yeah. Don't overextend. Just a good rule of thumb.
Good rule of thumb if you're exercising, if you're playing Commander.
If you're just reaching for something.
Yeah, right? Don't overextend.
Just don't overextend it, because...
Get out of the chair to pick up the pencil.
Just stand up and go walk across the room and get it. That's fine.
I find myself, like, if I'm trying to, like, reach the plug, like, behind the bed or the chair or something, I'm, like, contorting my body so hard to get it. It's like, maybe it's better to just pull the couch out a couple inches.
When I... the light switch by our couch is like just out of reach. So like I always have to do that thing where like I like lean back more on the couch and like throw my back over the arm and try and reach the switch. It's like maybe I should have just got up.
Yeah, right. Don't overextend. Don't overextend.
Or like sometimes you just grab a stick or something and just hit it. And you're good. But don't overextend either way. No. This is great. So the number 2 star is a card that I've always wanted to like make good, and I think this is the best use we've ever had of it. It's Xenographed. 4 and a blue for an enchantment that says, as Xenographed enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. Each creature you control is the chosen type in addition to its other types. So obviously we choose zombies, and then we get the big bonus from Scarab God, because we're not like we're not really running zombie tribal. But if you ever get Xenographed in your hand, then guess what? You are.
Yeah, right?
Right? So, yeah.
If we don't get it, we're happy to get the incidental bonus. But if we do get it, man, this game is done quick.
Yeah, exactly. Now it'll need to survive like a full turn cycle, obviously, to get the real payoff if you want to do it. Or do something like run Vidalcan Orrery and flash this in.
Yeah.
When no one can see it coming. And then you might get some surprise kills that way. So
oh my gosh, that would be so many surprise kills.
So like Vidalcan Orrery can go and just and can actually go in any deck. But yeah, it's just one of those cards that should always be kind of in the back of your mind, I guess, and on the old maybe board.
It's just pure utility. Like, this is the question of the maybe board. Like, do we always say Vidalcan Orrery? Or is it just like presumed to always be there?
Yeah, right. Like this is why getting like out of the like that would be an argument against the staple binder system, is if you have too many cards in it. Stuff like undeniable good cards like Vidalcan Orrery. It's like, do you lose variance? Do you lose the creativity? Anyways, but sometimes the cards are just so good you just have to use them, right? So
yeah,
I think because we got an upkeep trigger on our commander, I think Vidalcan Orrery's stock for this deck goes up quite a bit.
I think that's the key. Although it could go in any deck, and it's always better to play things at flash and at instant speed.
Sure.
What's the reason behind it? Is it just because it's good? But no, Scarab God gives us a definite reason why it's better. Yeah. So yes. Yep,
that's why I like it more, for sure.
And then the number 1 star, as we predict on this yet unbrewed deck, it is a zombie card, right? So as we're breaking the rule here, it's Lord of the Accursed, 2 and a black zombie, 2/3 from Amonkhet. We know it. It's in standard a lot. Other zombies you control get +1/+1. So now all our 4/4s are 5/5s. And then, but here's the main reason. That anthem is fine, and we're happy to have it. We can get use out of it. But the best part is 1 and a black tap. All zombies gain menace until end of turn. So we want that evasion, right? If you're facing down like several 4/4 or 5/5 zombies, I guess with this creature out, they would be 5/5s.
Mm-hmm.
Menace on a bunch of 5/5s is difficult to deal with.
Yeah. Yeah, Menace is annoying.
This is so annoying.
That's the best way to describe Menace. You always are like, oh, big deal. I can still block that. Like, what? I got to double block it? No big deal. But then when it happens, when there's a bunch of things coming at you with Menace, you're just like, oh, yeah, I hate this. I've never not thought that when I've got a few Menace creatures coming at me, that I hate Menace.
I always wonder, is that the reason Menace isn't stackable? Because there's no reason something can't make a creature unblockable except by 3 creatures, or 4 creatures, or 5 creatures. So, like, is it just not stackable because it's too annoying?
I think it's not stackable because of the way it works, right? Like, it's specifically 2 or more.
Yes, that's how Menace is worded, but
Right.
it could have easily been like, Menace means you can't be blocked except by an additional creature.
Right. Yes, they could have done that. Yeah. Like Menace 2, Menace 3.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah,
Feels
because
like-
there are creatures that say can't be blocked except by 3.
Yeah.
And like Tromokratis has to be blocked by everything you have.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. Like actually everything, even stuff that can't block.
yeah, so sorry.
Yeah, sorry, right? I guess probably just like I've been listening to a lot of Mark Rosewater's Drive to Work podcast.
Me too. I love it.
Which you and Phil DeLuca really said was very good, and I found a bunch of episodes that are really great, and I think he talks a lot about like clean, intuitive design, and I think that's what Menace is, right? It's clean.
I think so too.
It's like you always know it's 2 or more. Like you don't have to worry about numbers and anything like that. So
Let's think about the new players. Let's make it the entry level great.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
the complexity is there if we want it, right? Commander is a very complicated format when you look at a board state, but like let's get new players comfortable with the game.
yeah, totally. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But this is a fantastic card in this deck. Everything will be menacing through. It's bigger. I mean, what more can you ask for, really?
What about surprises and discoveries?
Oh, what about surprises and discoveries?
This surprise
I like this one.
is a functional surprise. I knew about this card. I knew what it was, but just the surprise of how good this works. Siren of the Fanged Coast. 3 blue for a Siren, 1/1 flying. Tribute 3. When Siren of the Fanged Coast enters the battlefield, if tribute wasn't paid, gain control of target creature. So tribute's already pretty good in multiplayer games because you can make deals, right? I can team up with you, Andy, and say like, hey, don't pay my tribute. I'll gain control of Butler's creature over here because he's given us a hard time. We can do that. And then by not paying tribute, that's what I get. But if you do pay tribute, I get a 4/4 flyer. That's great. If I'm eternalizing this, it starts as a 4/4 flyer, and then you have the choice like, do you want to give me a 7/7 flyer or give me control of another creature? We're back to where we started. I have the best of both worlds here. Tribute. I wish there was more tribute now. Scarab God's amazing with tribute.
This is another version of a card where I'm like, I've always wanted to use this card, but I've never found exactly the right deck for it, and I think this one is very good, right? Siren of the Fang Coast. Yeah, even so in that second scenario where you're eternalizing it, like if they say no to the tribute, you're going to get something. If they say yes, you get a 7/7 flyer. Yeah, I'll take it. Like that's no problem. That's at that point they want to give you something else.
Yeah.
Right? But you get to decide, right?
Yeah.
You get
And
to
so
decide.
it just works so perfectly with the way games play out. Because the first time you have your opportunity to cast this, I bet you're in a position where maybe you can make a deal with someone. I mean, maybe you're the threat and no one's going to make a deal with you. That's fine. I accept that.
Fair enough, yes.
But maybe you'll be able to make that deal. But maybe as the game goes on, maybe it's down to heads up. It's just you and one other opponent. Well, sure. If it's me and you, yeah, what do you want to do? You want to give me your awesome thing there, or do you want me to have a 7/7 flyer? Because I'll tell you what. If you don't give me your thing now, I'm going to eternalize it from your graveyard later.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, the Siren of Fang Coast. Yeah, it's a fun card. It's politics. Any card that works in politics is always going to be a lot of fun, right? So the fact that you know what, I gotta say we don't see a lot of tribute cards, and I thought we would see more of them. I guess it's because they just didn't really. It wasn't really a pushed mechanic. I don't think we occasionally see that Hydra that fights, right? Or it gets 6. It's like tribute 6. So sometimes it'll kill things, and sometimes it'll just be a 12/12.
You know what? I think
that's
that's
the only one I see, really.
I think that's just a mistake on our part as players. I think we undervalue political interaction in general. I think we tend to favor raw power and just be like, I'm going to destroy what I need to, I'm going to create what I need to, and I'm going to fight what I need to fight. But I think this is where this separates like the children from the grown-ups, right? Like, because I mean, just look at the Mana Rock we finally came around to. What is it? A Spectral Searchlight, right?
Yes, yeah.
It's just better because of that opportunity. The opportunity to make those deals. If you can play up those skills, you'll be a better commander player.
Yeah, definitely, right?
And that's tribute. That's tribute. If you time it right, if you play it under the right conditions, if you set up things where you're like, ooh, I'm going to set this up, so they're going to want to give me the tribute, and here's exactly how I'm going to play it out. I think we just don't do that enough. I think we just look at the cards and just be like, here's what it does, and it is good enough. Done.
Yeah, and it's easy to see, like, to look at this card and go, like, well, you'll never get what you want from it. You either won't get the 7/7 or you won't get the 4/4, or you know what I mean? Like, and that's true for 1v1. Like, that's true for most of other Magic, but in Commander, it's a bit different. You can make a deal where someone, the perfect example of this is like the Tempt cards, right? The Tempt with Discovery is.
Yep.
I think
I love Tempt with Discovery.
That's what it's called, right? Tempt with Discovery.
Tempt with Discovery, the green one that looks for land.
Yeah, 3 and a green finds you land. If anyone else does it, you get to find an additional one. Like with the last time I did that card, everyone says no because you're just supposed to say no on them, right? Make it be a very inefficient mana or a land tutor for me.
Yeah.
But then Butler always says yes, so someone's gonna do it, even though he knows he shouldn't do it. It's not in his best interest to do it, but he's gonna do it anyways. So like, especially if he's the last person. So tribute's the same way. It's like you're gonna be behind. So for most of the time, right? Like first of all, that's just something that happens to Commander. You're mostly behind. So someone will give you the right tribute that you want, and even if they're not supposed to, sometimes they still will. So.
Yeah,
That's what makes it a lot of fun.
But here's the beauty of Butler saying yes to that Temple Discovery. I think one detail you left out was that is the game that Butler established the rule. Like he was the last player to decide, and he said yes when everyone else said no. So they were just like, Butler, and then he was like, guys, I'm always gonna say yes to Temple Discovery. So now the next time that happens, we're all gonna know Butler's gonna say yes. So we're like, I don't want him and Andy to be the only guys ramping. I want to get on this too, which just turns it back into the original problem.
It's very funny and very good. It's like Ristic Study. Like you're supposed to, you always have to pay for it, but there's just some people out there who are like, I don't care. I'm not paying for it.
I'm not paying for it. I'm not going to play your game.
Yeah. It's like, well, great. Totally fine.
Yeah, I will not. You know what that reminds me of? People who like to just outright not pay for Ristic Study is the bad move, right?
Yes,
it's a stubborn move. I have a very stubborn streak in me, and I can remember I wrecked a backpack recently because I was trying to unzip it, and when that little flap folds under the zipper a little bit, like it just grabs.
Yeah.
Right, and you can't unzip it, right? So the smart move is to calmly find where that fold is, rewind the zip a little bit, and then just unfold it and go.
Pretty simple.
But I don't know, maybe I was just in a bad mood or whatever, but I was just like, I was ignoring the Ristic Study. I was just like, no, I will unzip this on my terms. And I just kept yanking the zipper. And then I broke the back.
Stubborn. You so stubborn, silly man.
And then afterwards I was like, well, that was the stupidest thing I could have done.
Yeah. Not great.
No, so dumb.
Oh, we forgot to throw to a Wizard's Tower ad earlier.
Oh, we totally did.
But if you're listening, but guess what? If you're listening to this, you've already heard it. So no, we didn't.
Right. Yeah, right. But let's talk again.
It just happened.
It just snuck in there.
Yeah.
We have extra business, all the things, and spoiling that, like, we will announce a deck reno winner at the end of this episode too, like all that stuff.
Right.
But wizardtower.com, right? That's our sponsor, the Wizards Tower. So this is where you're going to get your singles, right? I recommend going on there. This is pre-release time. This is the Scarab God. I happen to just check right now, and all the cards are up there, but they're not all like I think people know about the Scarab God, and I think they've been bought out of the Scarab God already. I was like, I think I should buy a Scarab God. Yeah. I don't know if that's because the price is too good. Like, people are like, that is too cheap for the Scarab God. They were letting it go for $12. On average, it's going for like around $10 US, and that was 12 Canadian. So like very competitive prices.
Oh, there's 4 on there now.
Is there now? Oh man, that just came up like within the hour, because that wasn't there. So I'm gonna, as soon as this is done, I'm gonna use coupon code Tower of Brews to pre-order me a Scarab God, because like, man, maybe it'll go down once they get opened, but like, I guarantee I want this card, so like, I'm willing to pay a little bit of a premium.
Right on. Yeah, go to wizardtower.com, and you can also check out mtgcanada.com and find articles written by Sean and myself.
Oh, and you know who I want to shout out to? They gave us a great shout out. Another sponsor of another podcast that the Wizards Tower sponsors is the Disorganized Wizards Club. We're all in the Wizard Tower family right now. And yeah, they gave us a generous shout out, and it never occurred to me to give them a shout out. They do more like standard and competitive stuff. So it's a nice balance to ours. If you like more, like, there's still a few laughs in it. They're having a good time, but they take it real seriously. They are competitive and analytical, and I do appreciate their like analytical style sometimes.
Yeah, get in there. Disorganized Wizards Club. Okay, let's get to the budget report.
This is where we take all of the cards and buy them a second time for $4.
No, we buy them a second time, and they become $4.
They become worth $4.
They become worth $4. I feel like.
I'm trying to eternalize money.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Great. So it's hard to scale a deck before it sets out. As I said, the Scarab God is pre-selling for around $10, give or take, depending where you go. But who's to say how that's going to change, right? So we don't count that as our budget report. So not including the Scarab God, this deck comes in at $45.50. So, if you want to cough up the $10, that only puts you $5 over, or maybe you open one.
Yeah.
We are not counting Sol Ring, which is the most expensive card in the deck.
Wow.
It's above $3.
How is that?
You know what I think it is? I think it's getting reprinted like crazy, but I also think people are buying more than they need. Like, I think people, because I do that, I have more Sol Rings than I need, because I know I'm going to brew decks and I'm going to want them. So I have 3 or 4 Sol Rings sitting in my little box there, waiting for decks. And that's 3 or 4 not in circulation, right? So I don't know.
Yeah, I guess if everyone does that, that just adds up. Yeah.
So the number one most expensive card actually probably is a cut. I'm going to tell you right now. It's Dire Undercurrents. It's 5 CMC total. It's 3 hybrid Dimir. It's an enchantment. Whenever a blue creature comes into play under your control, you may have target player draw a card. And whenever a black creature comes into play under your control, you may have target player discard a card. So a commander that can bring creatures back, you will have more creatures entering the battlefield than average. So a card like this tends to work better, except our zombies are only black. So we'll only get the blue side the first time we cast things.
Right.
Granted, if it's a multicolor card, we get both effects, which is pretty cool. You might be able to make the argument that we can generate black zombies at instant speed, so we can like pause during an opponent's draw step and make them discard there, like if they're empty-handed. But that's not what this deck's about. So I think we can spare the $3 and cut it from our deck.
Yeah, if it's $3, I would probably say so. But like this will draw you. This will draw you cards. And don't forget that you can target yourself with even the discard thing if you want to get a big fat creature into your yard and then eternalize it.
You know what? I hadn't considered that as a possibility.
And now that you know that the Scarab God grabs things from other people's graveyards too, they might go like, oh, I'm going to discard like a 7-mana creature at this point because I don't have the mana for it or something. And
don't do that.
Don't do that. Right? So either way, that's going to be good because they're either going to keep that card in their hand that they can't cast, which is going to be a dead card to them, or they're going to and then throw something good away, or they're going to throw that big one away, which you're into.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know. I mean, obviously it's a fine card. Like you can make an argument for it, but like, I think if you're saying you can cut it, I think you can probably cut it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. Okay. What's next?
The next, coming in at number 2, this is around 250, is Overseer of the Damned. 5 black creature demon. It's 5/5 flyer. It says, when Overseer of the Damned enters the battlefield, you may destroy target creature. Whenever a non-token creature an opponent controls dies, create a tapped 2/2 black zombie creature token. There you go. So yeah, things are going to die, man. Things are going to die, and you're going to get zombies, and that's just great for the deck. This guy comes up a lot for us whenever we talk about zombies. Like I remember it was in Gisa and Gerald, right? I think we had it in that deck. Yeah, so this is just a staple for the zombie decks. And at 250, I think it's pretty good. I think I'd probably keep this guy around.
I think so too. Yeah, I mean, you get to destroy a creature once the first time and once when you eternalize it. And I think that bonus of just getting extra zombies is just like, oh boy, what a brutal move.
Yeah, that can really come back around and pay off quite nicely.
Like think of what so you've got this guy out. If someone board wipes, that'll turn into maybe a dozen zombies. And then so on your next turn, you're going to recast your Scarab God because it's going to be in your hand. And then they're going to have one more cycle to board wipe again, or they're going to start taking like 10 to 12 per turn.
Yeah, that's true. And you may even be able to eternalize this guy again
while you Scarab God. Yeah, right.
Like you might be able to do that. So
it'll cost you 4 + 5. Yeah, that's doable.
It's doable. And it is a May trigger, right? The destroy target creature. So it's not like if you get them out, you have to kill something. So that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The third most expensive card is this is questionable. This is one of the few zombie cards. Gravespawn Sovereign, 4 black for a zombie lord. It's actually just a zombie by errata. It's 3/3. Tap 5 untapped zombies you control. Put target creature card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. It's like another way to sort of eternalize, but you have to tap 5 zombies. I think we can get 5 zombies out, even if we're just pulling things out of our graveyard. I can see that happening, but again, this may tempt us too strongly to overextend. So I don't know if it's definitely a powerful ability, but without a lot of zombie tokens, which is not the focus of this deck, I'm not sure if we love it. So I think if you've got one, I think try it out. I think it's worth experimenting, but I have a feeling it's a cut.
Having 5 zombies is not overextending.
It is if you have to do it by eternalizing.
Yeah,
right?
yes,
if you
I agree.
Your whole graveyard to get those 5 zombies, and that's what we're counting on. Like we're not counting on getting those zombies otherwise, which is why I question it.
Right. Okay. That makes sense. You're right. Because if you exile 5 creatures, those are gone forever, and then you're opening yourself up there. But I mean, sometimes you just need to have a bunch of creatures out because the board state is just in such a way that you need blockers, and you need to be laying down your own things. That's not overextending when you're just matching what's on the board, right?
Yes.
So in that case, like Gravespawn Sovereign, if it's like a stalled board state like that, can start to on end step you're just tapping creatures and bringing out another big thing or another good thing, right? So
sounds good to me.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, obviously this card's pretty good, so test it out.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, that's it. That's the Scarab God.
That is the Scarab God. We're wrapping up the episode, but we did tease we're going to announce another deck reno We didn't tease it right off the top. We teased it in the middle. But yeah, so this next deck reno, so send us a deck list when you can, when, maybe a first draft or some ideas of what you want. Yeah, so that's going to go to Michael Bogardus. Congratulations.
Congrats, Michael.
Yeah.
You are the deck reno recipient, the patron deck reno. So yeah, get us a deck if you've got something you've been thinking about playing, or if you've got something that you're playing with and you're like, I want to tweak this. Yeah, send us that list. We'll see if we can offer any tips.
Yeah, and we haven't done one of these in a while. You may be noticing, and for just in case you are newly aboard since we've been doing these, this is one way we give back to our patrons. We'll always have a deck reno in the works, and we'll put out an episode that it's just a bonus episode available to everybody, but it's not something that that qualifies for like patron donations. Like, we don't produce this. This is something we could do extra for you guys, as a way to give back. We're going to pick a random patron every episode. And then we end up once we get that email, we'll put an episode together. We'll release it. Boom.
Yep, exactly. Also, don't forget about the big celebration that is going to be on July the 9th. Sunday the 9th. Come get some giveaways. Get some magic product from us.
Get some product.
Get some product in your hair.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. So come by, win some stuff and hang out, and we'll probably play some Commander online. And I don't know, whatever we all feel like doing that day.
You've inspired me. Because we're going to give away so much product, I normally don't wear product in my hair, but I'm going to overdo it on the dep.
You're going to go hard on the dep.
Hard on the dep.
Dep gel.
Yeah. What else? Is that everything? Yeah. Don't forget to participate in the roast. #CommandersBurn for tomorrow, a Zombies Familiar. Business. That's it, right? Are we done?
Yeah, I think we're done.
What an episode. Can't wait. We will probably do one more episode featuring an Hour of Devastation Commander coming up. TBA who that's going to be. And stay tuned later this week for our Hour of Devastation Commander set review.
That's right. Yeah, we'll be breaking it all down, all the Commander relevant cards. You can catch that, of course, here on YouTube or on iTunes, whatever. Cool. So we'll be back with a Commander interview after this, but otherwise, we'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Commander interview, where we interview one of the commanders from the deck we just worked on. Unfortunately, Andy could not be here for us. He went to go feed some squirrels, but we have with me here today the Scarab God. Welcome to the podcast, the Scarab God. We forgot about you. Sorry about that. We didn't know you were around for a long time.
No problem, Sean. I've only just shown up again recently.
Yeah, so I guess the question on all of our minds is, what have you been up to in the time you've been away? What kinds of things have you gotten to?
Oh, we've been, it's been quite a while that we've been away. Me and my two brothers, the Locust God and Scorpion God. We've been playing a lot of board games, actually.
Oh, cool. Well, we love board games. As you know, this is a Magic podcast, but many Magic players like board games in general and probably play other ones. What are some of your favorite board games?
Oh, well, we've been playing Settlers of the Neff Crop.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Is that anything similar to Settlers of Catan on Earthplane?
I'm not familiar with that plane.
Well, in this one, you collect resources.
Yes,
and
you must collect
hexagons.
resources.
Yes.
There, yes, of course.
And
Yeah.
the desert is a bad square. There's nothing on the desert except for a robber.
Okay. Well, in this version, I suppose we have all the hexes are deserts. And
Okay.
those are very good. You get everyone gets, if you have a desert, you get all the resources from a desert.
Ooh.
And there's only one hex that has like grass or wheat or whatever on it, and that's the one you're trying to kill.
He's trying to kill that one.
Yes. Yes.
Great. Okay.
It's always a race. It's always a very fun race to try and kill that one hex. And
Excellent.
there's very little trading and resource management, even though you do just get those resources.
Well, I wonder if you have others similar to Earth board games. We have a popular one here. We call it Clue, where you go around a mansion and you try to discover who is the murderer. So we find out who is murdered and what is the weapon they used. Do you have anything like that?
Yes, absolutely. We have it. It's called Clue Token, and you investigate as well. And the answer is it's always the pharaoh god Nicol Bolas.
Oh,
He's always the killer, every time.
okay.
So it makes for a very, as you can imagine, it makes for quite a fun game.
It doesn't sound fun to me.
Well, you know, it is.
Okay. I'm also surprised to learn that you have investigating and clue tokens. That we understand that to be a thing from Innistrad plane.
Oh, well, again, I'm just not super familiar with that plane. So
Okay, sure.
It's not like I don't know. We just get given these games by, the God Pharaoh. So,
Okay. Do you have a game called? So, do you like to play like games outside as well, like not around a board?
We're not.
We do a lot of the.
Yeah, we're not allowed outside very often.
Oh.
As
Well,
you
it's a shame.
know, this is the first time we've all been able to leave
that
our
makes sense.
rooms for a very long time, and immediately my brother, the Scarab God, went and murdered Ronus right away. So
You mean the scorpion? You're the scarab god.
sorry,
The
I'm the
scorpion
Scarab God. I meant the Scorpion God. Yes. It just murders the Ronus right away. So we're supposed to do that, but I just feel like it's gonna ruffle some feathers somewhere.
Sure. Well, now that you're outside, I'm going to recommend a game we play here on Earth playing outside. That
a
might
new
be
game.
fun. Yeah, it's called Tag.
Ooh.
Someone is it, and the
Okay.
goal is to gently touch another player, and when you do, they are it. And you run around and say who's it. It's a lot of fun.
That's what the Scorpion God was playing with Ronus. He put his tail gently into his head, and then he was it. He was the dead it.
That's not. Oh, that's not.
It is dead.
Scarab God. I'm glad you guys are having fun, but your idea of fun is a little bit different from ours.
It must always be dead. It's just more fun that way.
How did you feel about Ronus's monument staring at him while Scorpion God stabbed him, making the hashtag Ronus face?
Yes, I've seen the Ronus face, and let's be honest, there's no more derpy-looking god in the multiverse than Ronus, and we all honestly had quite a laugh at it, and how embarrassing it must have been for him to be murdered while everyone's laughing at you. I mean, it's just insult to injury at that point. So
Yeah, it really is.
It really is. It very much is. But okay. But before I go, my brothers are calling me. I must go destroy some more pyramids. I wanted to know if you had a game like one that we have here.
Oh, okay. I mean, it's probably different in a few very key ways, but let's hear it.
Yeah, it's called Monthopteropoly.
Okay, I think I know where you're going with this.
Okay.
How do you play Monthopteropoly?
Okay, well, you go around the board and you purchase different factories, properties, if you will, and then you create thopters, and then you murder everyone with the thopters.
Sure. We have one similar to that, except you buy properties and companies and you go around the table.
Yes.
But instead of murdering
And how
someone,
much murder is there in it?
well, instead of murdering someone, you get frustrated and flip the table over because the game never ends.
Ooh, that sounds fun. A never-ending game. The God Pharaoh will approve.
Okay, we'll see.
Monopoly. We'll bring it to him.
Well, Scarab God, it's been lovely to meet you and interview you. It's great talking games. I hope, once you have time, it might be interesting to hear your podcast of the Scarab God reviewing games.
I would love to. I've been thinking about it for a very long time. I've actually recorded 2 or 3 episodes. I just haven't released them yet. I
great.
will when I'm comfortable with what I have.
Well, if you want a guest, I'm sure Andy or I would love to be on, as long as you can promise we won't get murdered by being guests.
Well, I just can never promise that.
Okay, then.
I can never, ever promise a not murder.
Then we can't be on your
Well,
podcast.
then that's a shame. Okay. It was good to be here.
Yes, thank you for not murdering me.
You are welcome for now.
Okay, bye-bye, Scarab God.
Bye.
If you want to contact us, I'm at Sean Tabaris.
And I'm at Andy Holbone.
Send us an email at commandersbrew@gmail.com.
You can find out when we go live on Twitch if you follow us at twitch.tv.
And if you care to support us on Patreon, check us out at patreon.com.
And you can find our deck list on tappedout.net.
And if we forgot anything, commandersbrew.com.